Step inside the evidence room, everyone. The door is locked, the digital clock on the wall is ticking down, and the files are laid out on the table. Welcome to this forensic explainer for the Cambridge AS and A-Level Arabic 9680 Paper 2. I'm your lead detective for the session, and frankly, I treat these past papers a little differently than your average tutor. To me, a dropped mark isn't just a mistake, it is a crime scene waiting to be solved, and we are going to audit this exam with absolute forensic precision. I want you to picture my two junior agents working this case with me right now. First, we've got Agent Alex. Alex is our procedural guy. He will gather mountains of physical evidence, memorizing every single vocabulary word and grammatical rule, but when it comes time to build a coherent case motive for the examiner, he completely lacks high-level analysis. On the other side of the table, we have Agent Sam. Sam is fast, constantly jumping to immediate conclusions and writing down the first thing that comes to mind. But in doing so, Sam completely skips vital forensic confirmation steps and totally misses the examiner's command word constraints. Today, we are going to fix both of their approaches, and yours too, by breaking down this case file from start to finish. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the core mystery here? Why do students continually lose easy marks on Paper 2 reading and writing? Look, every single year, thousands of candidates walk into this exam room. They've prepped, they know their Arabic texts, but the marks just leak out of their answers like water through a sieve. It's an absolute tragedy of lost potential. Despite rigorous preparation, candidates continually leak marks, specifically on structure and timing. They spend 40 minutes on a low-tariff question and leave their highest-scoring analysis half-finished. But today, we are tearing down the examiner's exact expectations. We aren't guessing, we are looking at the official documentation, the raw data, to see exactly what creates a 100% case resolution. Here is our investigation docket for this session. First, we'll establish the core exam principles. Second, we'll map out the technical methodology. Third, we'll master critical analysis. And finally, we will profile the critical examiner warnings. Let's open up Section 1, Core Exam Principles. This is about establishing our baseline evidence. Okay, I'm pinning a complex, high-tariff Cambridge past paper question right to the center of our evidence board. Let's look at the precise assessment objectives, or AOs, that the official Cambridge examiner reports demand. The framework draws a brutal, hard line here. Superficial breadth versus analytical depth. I see Agent Alex do this all the time. Alex reads a prompt about a social issue in an Arabic text, panics, and just writes down a descriptive statement of everything that happened in the paragraph. It's a massive scattergun of facts, but the examiners aren't looking for that. A descriptive statement is just you telling the examiner what is already on the page. That's low tier. You have to pivot to an evaluative argument. Misinterpreting an examiner's command word, like confusing describe with evaluate, acts exactly like a fingerprint mismatch in a lab. It instantly throws out your case. If they ask for analytical depth, your logical reasoning has to be structured. You must trace the why and the how, not just the what. Building on that, you have to construct a bulletproof theoretical architecture. You need precise definitions to start, followed by clear causal relationships. You know what really catches an examiner's eye? Cross-topic integration. When you can connect a theme from the text to broader principles you've studied in the Arabic 9680 syllabus, it's like stringing red yarn across the evidence board, connecting the suspect to the crime scene. You prove you have a systematic, evidence-based understanding of the language and the context, not just a surface-level translation in your head. And here is the exact mathematics of the mark scheme. Look at these cognitive domains. Knowledge and understanding is only 33%. Analysis is 33%. Evaluation is the heavyweight at 34%. Now think back to my junior agents. Agent Alex hoards facts. He maxes out that 33% for knowledge, but because he doesn't analyze or evaluate, his grade is mathematically capped. It's a failing strategy. Then you have Agent Sam, who rushes in and tries to evaluate right away, saying something is good or bad, but without demonstrating the foundational knowledge or analyzing the text first. Sam's case collapses in court. You, the successful candidate, must demonstrate balanced competence across all three of these domains simultaneously to unlock those top mark bands. Moving to Section 2, Technical Methodology. This is your standard operating procedure out in the field. Now, let's step into the interrogation room. I've got Alex and Sam sitting at the table, and they're trying to stitch together an unassailable model response paragraph. Alex is sweating, staring at the paper. He says to me, "Boss, I'm just going to write down a massive block of textbook definitions so they know I studied." And Sam immediately argues back, "No, wait, we don't have time on the clock. Just write the conclusion. Tell them the author is biased and let's move on." I have to stop them both. I tell them they are ignoring the systematic processing framework. Look at the steps. 1. Deconstruct the question and extract the data. 2. Select your framework. 3. Execute the analysis with clear working. 4. Verify the results. 5. Present with the correct terminology. I tell Alex, if you just dump definitions, you aren't answering the specific question. I tell Sam, if you just write the conclusion without the working, you lose all the method marks.
I look them dead in the eye and say, marks are awarded for the process. This is the absolute golden rule of the technical methodology. The actual process of arriving at your answer is just as critical as the final conclusion. We sit there right at the table and we rewrite their thesis lines multiple times live. We adjust their approach so that their notation and step-by-step execution secure those highly coveted method marks. Even if your final presentation slightly falters, if the examiner can see your logic trail, you get paid.
But it doesn't stop with just writing. You have to deploy vital data interpretation skills. In paper 2, you are going to encounter complex Arabic texts, maybe even embedded data. You have to extract accurate information, interpret those complex relationships, and draw solid evidence-based conclusions. If your conclusion isn't anchored to the specific text in front of you, it's hearsay, and the examiner will throw it out. You must apply professional formatting and continually evaluate your own performance as the clock ticks down.
Let's move to Section 3, Mastering Critical Analysis. It is time to cross-examine the text itself.
Case file freeze. Listen to me very closely. Before we reveal this top-band paragraph structure that is going to help you clear your upcoming Cambridge sessions, I need to make sure your intelligence feed is entirely secure. Take 1 second right now to subscribe to Ace the Exams at the handle @AceTheExams, and turn on all your notifications so you never miss our weekly forensic exam updates, whether you are cracking cases at IGCSE, O-levels, or AS and A-levels. Got it? Okay, back to the file. Alex and Sam just hit an unexpected roadblock mid-paragraph. Their evidence links are collapsing under cross-examination. Why? Because they aren't evaluating the evidence quality. You have to look at the Arabic text and identify underlying limitations. Spot the assumptions the author is making. Formulate an alternative interpretation and assess how that changes the final conclusion. This is how you deconstruct, solve, and evaluate. When they ask comparative analysis, you use this matrix. I step in and show Alex and Sam the structural framework. We write the response out loud, line by line. First rule, similarities and differences. It is a mandated dual focus comparison. If you only give similarities, you lose half the marks immediately. Next, you must use proper comparative connectives in Arabic. They are essential for the structural flow of your argument. Every single point must be anchored to supported evidence from the text. Finally, you draw justified conclusions on the relative importance of those points. It creates a perfectly balanced, bulletproof block of text. Finally, Section 4, Critical Examiner Warnings. Let's build the suspect profile of a failing paper. I am officially handing the investigation files over to you, the audience, for a live forensic check. We're opening up the interactive viewer evidence room. Challenge number 1, the visual clue scan. I want you to imagine a complex source text on the screen in front of you. You have a 60-second visual countdown timer running in your head. What is the very first thing you scan for? The principal examiner report gives us the answer. Candidates consistently confuse key terminology. When you do your 60-second scan, your primary objective is to extract the exact terminology required by the command words. If you confuse the terminology, your logic fails before your pen even hits the paper. To solve challenge 1, you apply the terminology protocol. Always, and I mean always, define your core terms explicitly before using them in your extended responses. When you start an analytical paragraph, don't just jump into the deep end. Define the parameter. It neutralizes the threat of a misunderstanding and proves to the examiner that your case is built on a solid factual foundation. Now for challenge 2, identify the counterfeit answer. I'm looking at a flawed, medium-tier sample student response. Listen to the top 3 examiner alerts and tell me where this student failed. 1. Confusing cause and effect. 2. Forgetting to check format and presentation. 3. Providing answers not specific to the given context. I take my digital marker and isolate the discrepancy in this student's paragraph right here. They wrote a beautifully grammatical sentence, but it was a completely generic answer about Arabic culture that had absolutely nothing to do with the specific context of the stimulus passage. That is descriptive fluff. It destroys the overall mark integrity. You must remain specific to the text provided. Case closed. I look back at Alex and Sam, and they finally compiled their final high-scoring text block. We confirm a 100% case resolution score. To get here, I am distilling this entire session into 3 universal rules for you. Rule 1, the 3-step question scan, which is decoding the command words before you ever start reading. Rule 2, the clock budget allocation, which is timing your analysis so you don't run out of time for the evaluation phase. And Rule 3, the final evidence audit, where you run a strict review checklist to ensure you didn't just summarize the text, but actually answered the specific prompt. That is how you deconstruct, solve, and evaluate.
So I have to ask you, are you ready to audit your next past paper with absolute forensic precision? You know the traps, you have the methodology, and you know exactly how the examiners build their suspect profile. But knowing isn't enough. You have to execute. If you want to guarantee 100% case resolution on your next attempt, you need to lock in your training right now. Subscribe to Ace the Exams at the handle @AceTheExams. Click that notification bell so you get all our weekly grade masterclasses straight to your feed. And right now, drop a comment below sharing exactly which Cambridge subject and level, whether it's IGCSE, O, AS, or A-level, that you are preparing to conquer next. Stay sharp, trust the evidence, and I'll see you in the next explainer.